Welcome to this ESS BIZGRANTS webinar on identifying government grants and obviously using the new web page which has been developed by ESS BIZGRANTS. This is our first public webinar. We have briefed our current subscribers, and so thank you very much for registering to come to this webinar today. We're just showing you the home page area, which has got explanations about what is ESS BIZGRANTS. Primarily our objective is to assist accountants and advisors to locate government and other types of grants and incentives that are available for small medium enterprises. So these grants are not for charities or not-for-profits, but they are targeted at small, medium enterprise organisations. The grants represent grants that have been issued by the Commonwealth Government, but also the various state and territory governments. We believe that grants are a tremendous opportunity for accountants to be offering a well-rounded business advisory service to their clients, especially when you consider that in most of these grants the government is going to be paying 50% of the costs or fees that are incurred, and there is a significant amount of work in some of these grants that accountants offering business advisory services are able to perform. So we'll just go back to the start. I just want to show you a couple of other things in this free area. There is a case study. And on the right-hand side we have a testimonial from David Smith, former president of the Institute of Chartered Accountants, Managing Director of Smith Inc. 2020 Proprietary Limited. It was David's idea a few years ago that we developed this product. So you can read his testimonial. We have a case study based on a hypothetical business that you could go through and read and understand how that works. And it's going through the various grants that will be identified in this system. There are testimonials on the site from David Smith and also from Jason Crescott, which you might like to read. Forthcoming events. We have webinars each month for our subscribers, and we have information webinars for the public and people thinking about subscribing. Obviously we've got today's webinar, which is the launch of BIZGRANTS version 2, and we have similar webinars at different days and different time to meet people's schedules. On Tuesday the 12th of August at 1 p.m. Eastern Time, and 28th of August at 2 p.m. Eastern Time, and that's primarily set at that time for the benefit of people in Western Australia and South Australia and the Northern Territory. We are taping this webinar today, and it will be placed on YouTube in the next 48 hours, and you will all be sent a link to that YouTube recording if you wish to have another look at this webinar today. There are various news articles within the system that have been recorded, so you can read these. These are primarily looking at the objective of accountants being more actively involved in seeking government grants for their clients. There were some rumours when the new Liberal government was elected last year that they were going to withdraw a substantial number of the grants. What's happened in actual practice is some of the grants have been withdrawn, like Enterprise Connect, and the commercialising program within Oz Industry, but they've been replaced by new programs built around commercialising ideas, which starts in November, Research Connections, which starts in September, and the Business Evaluation Program and the associated grants, which has already commenced. And this applies to specific industry sectors, but when you examine the types of businesses that might be eligible in those individual industries, you will find there is a very wide range of businesses who are able to access the business evaluation grants, as long as they meet the key criteria, which is for all businesses other than those that operate in remote or very remote areas. They must have an ACN, but a corporate trustee applying for a trust is an eligible applicant under the new program. If the businesses operate in remote or very remote Australia, the criteria is an Australian business number. The minimum turnover requirements start at $750,000 for businesses in remote or very remote, and obviously this can apply to any type of business, even an accountancy practice if it's located in a remote or very remote location. And some are, of course, because Alice Springs would be included under that definition. The tourism and creative industries, which covers a wide range of businesses, the minimum turnover is $1 million, and for those other industries that are listed on the screen, the minimum turnover requirement is $1.5 million. In all cases, the maximum turnover is $100 million. So you can read those articles and understand what's happening. The government has also announced some major new grants to commence in 2015 on skills development and on clean energy, and we're awaiting further details of those grants. So there's quite a bit of material contained in news that you might be interested in reading to get a better overview of the grant situation. What we're going to do now is to log into the new site. If you agree to become a subscriber, you will be given a username and password which will give you 24/7 access per office to this site. We are introducing a 2-week trial period which is free, and you will also be granted a username and password to get access to the 2-week trial period. I've already inserted my details so we can log in. We've now gone to the members home page, which gives you a more detailed review of how you would go about answering the various questions that we're going to look at in a moment. So you can use that as a guide to take you through so you can understand what's got to be inserted. So we'll go back to, and we'll go on to client profiles, and we are going to go to a new profile. So this is where you would start with your clients, and I'm going to make some entries. I believe this is a fictitious organisation. I hope so. If there happens to be someone with the same name, this is purely coincidental. Now, when you insert the name, you can use a number or a password type identification if you wish, because we are utilizing cloud technology for this process. You then need to select the type of entity that the business operates through. The default for this is company, because companies can apply for virtually every grant that's available for small medium enterprises. Some of these other type of entities you will find are not able to access some of the grants. But this entity is a company, so we're staying on a company, so we'll just click company and we've remained there. You then ask the question, does this business export services or products or propose to export? We're going to answer yes. There's another question, do you import products? We're going to answer yes, and we'll see what particular grants are linked to both of those decisions. Number of employees, if you did have the opportunity of viewing the previous ESS BIZGRANTS versions, you'll notice that we have made some changes. We're not asking you to insert the number of employees. This business, Southern Fabricators, I've written on my sheet here 35. We have gone through and put the grouping of employees into the type of groupings that the various grants use, so we will click 20 to 200. Do you have an ABN? If you leave that answer at no, no grants will be offered, because basically the minimum requirement to get any grants for a business from any government agency is your client must have an ABN. The number of years the business has been operating, we have again changed that. I've written on my sheet here that this business has been going for 12 years, but we have linked what are the significant periods of time based on the grants from all around Australia, and we're just going to answer over 3, because once a business is over 3 years old, none of the government agencies really inquire, other than you might have to type in 12, but there's no consequences for any business that's over 3 years old. There are some consequences for some businesses in the 0 to 2 and the 2 to 3, because some grants specifically specify that the business must have been operating for more than 2 years or for more than 3 years. There are some grants, not many, that are available for basically brand new startups. This can be more in the research and development area, and in what was previously Commercialising Australia, and will be part of the new Commercialising grant for Enterprise Connect, we believe, but we haven't written that material yet. We're waiting for the government to tell us what it's going to be. We're saying this business has been going for 12 years, so we'll say over 3. The financial details are the same. Now, I've written here that this business has got a turnover of $9.8 million. We have linked the turnover levels to the requirements of various grants. So obviously at 9.8 million, you would click the 1.5 to 20 million. Are you registered for GST? The answer I'm saying is yes, and if you don't answer yes, again, you will not be shown any grants. Are you tax exempt? If the business is tax exempt, there will be no grants offered, because this is the small business program, and we're going to tick that we're involved in research and development. So in actual practice, that will not take you very long to enter those details. You just click on save. We now need to enter the address, and I've decided, hopefully this is a fictitious address, we're going to call it 2625 Arthur Street, Footscray, obviously it's in Victoria, and we're going to put the postcode in. Now the postcode's pretty important, because that's going to help in the identification of where this business is located. So we now go to this area. We can do some checking if you like. You can recheck your details. It's Southern Fabricators. They're a company. They export, they import. Their employees are somewhere between 20 and 200. they've got an ABN, they've been trading for more than 3 years, and they're involved in research and development. You say you beauty. The address is in Footscray, which is obviously part of Melbourne, and it's in one of the major cities of Australia. That's the classification that the government give it. We can check the financial. Yes, that's all right. We're registered. We're not tax exempt. So the big question now comes to the Business Industry Code, and this is one of the most significant changes we've made in this version. If any of you saw our previous version, we are using the Australian Taxation Office Business Industry Codes, which are based on the Australian and New Zealand industry codes. We've decided to use the Tax Office version of those because they're more current, and secondly, because as accountants, most of you would be using these numbers when you're preparing your clients' income tax returns. If you know the number, you can I'm going to spend just a little bit of time with this because this is the whole new area and revolutionises how ESS BIZGRANTS operates. If you know the number, you can just write it in there for your client, but I'm not going to do that. We can search here by putting in part of the name of what you believe the name of the client's industry is, or the type of business activity they undertake, or we can go on and have a look at the industry codes. For today's purpose, we're going to have a look at the industry codes to start with. Just put that back. So we just click here, and the system is going to give us the Australian Taxation Office Business Industry Codes so that you can have a look at those and decide which ones you want to use. These things always take longer when you're trying to do a live presentation, don't they? That has taken a very long time. I think we'll go back and we'll come back to that because that didn't seem to work properly. What we were going to go to was the Taxation Office website, which would give us the alphabetical codes and the industry codes. We'll have a go at that just in a moment. If we go back here, and this business is a steel fabricator. So if I just write in or insert there steel and then hit search, the system has now done a search and found the industries that relate to steel. And obviously you can type in any type of business activity. So what I was really looking for was structural steel product manufacturing, fabricated structural steel. That's what this business does. So if you're happy with that, you just click on the number. And what it has done now is transferred the number to this other side, whereby we could then go forward and do a search of the grant. So you could add some of these other industries as well if you wished, if they were doing that. So we're looking here now at labouring on structural steel erection service. We might say, okay, they also do that. So we've now got both of those codes that have been identified. So if we're now ready, we can go to search grants. And the system has identified that this business is potentially eligible for 14 grants. And we're now going to look at what they are. So we might just give you an overview, look at them first. There are 2 apprenticeship grants that every business in Australia is potentially eligible for. One is for employing of adult apprentices over 25 years, and the other one is for employing people with disabilities as apprentices. There's also and the school-based apprenticeship scheme. and I probably said that the wrong way. The adult apprentices is only for specified industries. It's called the National Skills Shortage List, and people over 25 can be eligible for those in some industries, and this industry we've nominated is one of the industries that's listed. There are 113 industries listed on those lists. The disabilities I've talked about, that's applicable to every business, and so skills-based apprentices. There can also be some other apprenticeships. So we've got 4 for this particular client, because he can offer apprenticeships to existing workers if we're within that national skills needs list, and this industry is. The Australian Bureau of Statistics is some free information that used to cost $8,000 to $10,000 for businesses to get. That was back in the previous Liberal government's days, and that government of the day changed the rules. We're potentially eligible for the Business Growth Grant, which is the new one that's just been released in the manufacturing industry, because that's the industry we meet. Because we're a manufacturer, we can get some benefit on certain inputs. We're exporting, so we might be eligible for some export market development grants. The Industry Capability Network is a free service whereby we can register this client to try to secure details of major projects. This business is based in Victoria, and Victoria, through the government, has a number of programs built around research and development for manufacturing businesses. So there's a few of those going to come up for this week. Obviously, we ticked that this business was doing R&D, so we are eligible or potentially eligible for the R&D under 20 million. And then there's some other potential technology grants in Victoria. Now, some of these will be ruled out if you apply for one. You can't necessarily get the rest, but they're there for you to then decide. So where we might start from, just to get you an idea of how this works, is if we click on to the adult apprentices, there's a summary, and this obviously now works this way for each of the hundreds of grants that are in this system. That gives you a summary of what the adult apprentices over 25 is all about. You can check out the funding. It's up to $4,000. The apprenticeship, the application toolkit includes papers on how this grant works. So there's the paper on assistance for employers for apprenticeships. You can read that. You can print it if you wish to give to your client. If you wanted to go further, there is some additional criteria. So is your business proposing to employ a person aged over 25 as an apprentice trainee to upgrade his or her skills in certificate 3 or 4 level in an occupation listed on the National Skills Needs List? Now, you might say, oh, okay, what's the National Skills Needs List? Sorry, I went back too far then. It's a new site for all of us. What I meant to show you before was the National Skills Needs List. So there's the list that's contained within ESS BIZTOOLS on the National Skills Needs List. We've gone through and looked at each of those and have allocated which industries they relate to, and have identified that things like metal fabricator, and there's a couple of others in there that actually would relate to this industry. So we've identified that, and it's there for you to look at. So if we go back to the additional criteria, if you've satisfied yourself that you're on the National Skills Needs List, you could then click yes. What happened then, apply now appeared. If you wished, you could click on there. That URL is the website for the government on apprenticeships. If you went there, it would tell you the details of the 180 apprenticeship organisations situated around Australia. We don't want to go to that at this stage. If we hit close, the system's now going to decide whether you're potentially eligible for this grant. So the grant number's now changed to 13. If we go into potentially eligible, we have this adult apprenticeship that is listed. We go back to pending, and I might just skip through a couple of these. Obviously, when you're trialling this system, you can go through and play with this as much as you like. On the business growth grant, there's a summary of how it works for manufacturing industries, listing the type of services that can be undertaken. The same system works. The funding, in this case, is up to $20,000 on a 50% basis. If you wanted to see how the system operates, there is a paper on the Business Growth Grant Program, which covers all those industries we discussed a little earlier. And if you're happy with that, you can read the paper to give you an idea, so that when you're talking to your client, you're able to give them a bit more information. We might then want to have a look at the paper which we've prepared just for the manufacturing industry. So it just is a complement to the overall commentary on how the business evaluation process works and the business growth grants. All these papers are linked, so you can look at manufacturing and you can look at manufacturing related services. So we'll now go to additional criteria. Is the applicant solvent? This is very important. They have to be able to pay their debts as they fall due. Has the business been operating under an approved structure for at least 3 years? This is a change from Enterprise Connect. Under this program, an approved structure can be, the client could have been a sole trader or a partnership or a trust for 2.5 years or virtually 3 years, and they've now just decided to switch into a company. The criteria is, as long as it's been the same people running the business and there's been no dramatic changes to the business operation, then the entrepreneur's infrastructure program will accept that that type of business has been a suitable applicant subject to meeting the turnover requirements. Has the company ever received a business growth grant or a tailored advisory service grant under Enterprise Connect? If you click yes for that, you won't be eligible because you can't apply more than once. So we need to answer no. That then brought up apply now. If you go to that, you're going to get the URL for the government's business website, whereby you could go to and apply for a business evaluation to be undertaken. So what that's now done is place that grant also, I believe, into the potentially eligible. We'll just go back to pending, and we might do one more at this stage. This is certain inputs to manufacture. So you may or may not read the documentation, but you go through to the additional criteria. There's a few questions here. Does the business import raw materials and immediate goods? So you might read that or ring your client and say, do you do any of this? And the client says, no, we don't do that. So you'd answer that question, no. Let's put a cross behind it. You can go through and answer the other questions if you like, but it hasn't given you the opportunity of going to the site. So before you go even into close, you're going to know that you're going to be shown as being unable to obtain that particular grant. So if we go back to potentially ineligible, that certain inputs to manufacture has been listed there. What I want to do now, though, is go back to potentially eligible. I'm not going to go through the rest of the pending or possible grants that were shown there, but a couple of them. for this business in Victoria would be quite appropriate for them to look at, especially some of the Victorian government grants. What I want to do now is just show you the report. So the system will then produce a report for you to have a conversation with your client. It produces the client's name as you've inserted it into the program. The prepared by name is your name, or the name of the organisation that you have registered your subscription to ESS BIZGRANTS with, and it obviously produces today's date on the report. It then gives you a synopsis of what the grant's all about and shows you the amount of funding so that you could sit down and have a discussion with your client. There are appropriate disclaimers because after all that you're doing at this stage is using this product to identify potential grants. The client still has to go through the grant application process, and there are some reasons why they can be rejected in that process. But at least it's giving you something that you can sit down and have a conversation with your client. So that is what the grant report looks like. And that basically is how ESS BIZGRANTS operates. If we go back to the pricing area, there is a 2-week trial period that's available for all of you people today to trial ESS BIZGRANTS. If you're happy with the system, you can immediately sign up, and we are maintaining the price that we have had for the last 12 months at this stage at $450 plus GST. That will give you a 24/7 access to ESS BIZGRANTS, or you can pay slightly higher but pay by monthly instalments at $43 per month plus GST. If you say you want to have a 2-week trial, you sign up, you have to log on or give us your details, and the system will then issue to you a password and username for you to undertake a 2-week free trial. Obviously, if you have decided to subscribe right from the outset, you need to indicate how you are going to pay and whether you're going to pay monthly and at the monthly subscription, or you're going to pay on a yearly basis. So that is basically how ESS BIZGRANTS operates. I'm just going to see if we've got any questions. You don't necessarily have to... Someone has asked me, can you subscribe only for 1 month? No, it's an annual subscription payable monthly at $43 plus GST per month. Is there any other questions? If you think of some questions later on, you can send me an email and ask, but why not go on and take advantage of the 2-week trial, apply for a login, and you'll be able to trial a few of your clients to see how the system works, and hopefully you will see the benefits then. Please remember there are new grants being added all the time by the federal and state governments. As I indicated, there are 2 new major grants to be instigated in the next couple of months, and the government has announced major new skills development grants that are going to be introduced in January, February of next year, and a clean energy grant also. Someone's asked how many grants in total available. I don't know, a few hundred, and To be honest, we have done a sweep of late, and we've found some more that we're going to be putting in the system, some of the obscure state grants and territory grants. We are continually checking the government websites and finding grants that are there, and as we find them, they are introduced into the system. We write a paper which goes into ESS BIZTOOLS, but the paper is also then included in the toolkit, and we then decide which of the Australian Taxation Office business industry codes might apply to that particular grant. Some of them, like research and development, every code applies, but for some of the others there's only 3 or 4 codes that really apply to a particular grant. So we are just continually working on it. Someone's asked me, can you put your own logo on the site? I will have to check with the programmer on that. I don't want to say yes. I think it's yes, but I'm not sure. When we send you the link to the YouTube recording on this webinar, which will be in the next 48 hours, I will indicate then the answer I've got back from the programmer. He's not here, and I'll have to contact him to let you know. Someone's asked me, just wondering why no environmental grants were listed. Basically, I'm always loath to say there are none of anything, because grants can catch you out. But the federal government is basically withdrawn out of that space at present. They are planning to announce some major new grants around clean technology, which presumably is environmental, in the new year. But you've got to remember that the grants that come up are the grants that have been identified that suit a particular industry's entity type, location, turnover, number of employees, years in business. They're the key requirements, so you can have similar looking businesses that for some reason, to do with some of those characteristics, a different grant might appear. Yeah, someone's asked me, will the YouTube link be sent by email after this webinar so that other people in their firm can watch the session? Yes, that's the idea. We will send it to you as soon as we can, just to make sure there's no problems. We say 48 hours. So within 48 hours we'll be sending this link to you, and we'll include the answer to that question about logos on the report in that email we'll send round with that. There's a question here, do you assist past identifying grants? I presume that's, do we assist in consulting services? Yes, if you wish to hire us to assist in actually performing the advice, we will do so. But this product has been prepared primarily to encourage accountants to become very proactive in this area and offer these services to clients. When David Smith, the Managing Director of Smith Inc., sat down with me about 3.5, 4 years ago and we discussed this type of product, he indicated to me that he didn't think we should be trying to turn accountants into being grant experts, and that's what we've tried to become. So we're writing the material and trying to identify the grants that will suit businesses in particular characteristics, as I mentioned before, turnover, location, employees, etc. And hopefully you'll be able to take it from there in assisting your clients in preparing grant applications and charging them for that, and then being proactive in trying to undertake some of the work. Now, under the Business Improvement Program, there is a significant amount of that work can be done by accountants. The consultant from the government may have agreed that the client needs a business plan, a strategic plan, budgets, cash flows. Their debtor system might need review. They might need a human resources system. I've been working the last couple of days on a project under the old Enterprise Connect program, because it's still going on, running down on the businesses that have been approved. And we're doing a review of their human resources systems, their business plan, and a continuous improvement program assignment for that particular business. So there's a lot of work that accountants can do in this space. Under the new Commercialising Ready, I think it's the name of it, the government's new program to start in November, where the grants are going to be up to $250,000 on a 50% basis. That means the client's got to find half the money. So if they get $250,000, the client's got to have $250,000. The listed work to be undertaken there is proof of concept, some of which might come under an accountant's general sort of work, but not much other than the project management side of it. But it also lists the whole preparation area: business plan, budgets, cash flow forecasts, human resources plan. That all fits under what I believe accountants that are offering business advisory services can offer. There's other things in there that you probably can't offer, of course, like intellectual property advice that's going into the patent attorney's area of work. So hopefully that gives you an answer to that. But to specifically answer the question, I've gone back and read it again. If there are things that you're uncertain of, you can make phone calls to us to get fairly quick answers, and we'll give those to you as part of the service, of course. But if you want to, you can hire us as the consultants for the client. But that can be difficult, and I would prefer you to be able to do it yourselves. There's a very good question here, and I didn't really know this. I'll go back to read the whole question. We use the business codes as part of tax return preparation, and we regularly find that the list is missing business descriptions. Have you reviewed the list for missing business descriptions? That was the list I had trouble bringing up before. We might just go back before we finish this webinar and find that for you. There are thousands of names in that list. No, we haven't gone through to try to check it. It's what the tax office is using. It's based on what the Australian Bureau of Statistics is using in the Australian and New Zealand business industry codes. They are the codes that are being used. We believe that this is a far more efficient way to identify the grants on an industry code. Previously, we were using broad definitions. The problem with that, in some instances, we could have produced a list with 40 grants potentially in it. It was far too many because it included grants that were not available for that particular client. Manufacturing's got a very, very, very wide definition. Covers all sorts of things from food manufacturing, beer manufacturing, steel manufacturing, car manufacturing, and it just got too confusing. That's why we've decided to use those industry codes. The tax office claim they're keeping them up to date based on what they're finding out in the marketplace. If you come across an industry code that you can't find, please send us an email and we'll try to find one for you, or we'll try to do the research on whatever industry that client might be going to be eligible for. Someone's asked me the question, what does the new grant, skills grant development entail? Unfortunately, I don't know. All I know is what I've been told at various federal government think tanks that have been held for advisors all around Australia as part of this whole process. They started late June, and we were told that $2.6 million has been allocated, I think, over a 4-year period for skills development training. If I was hazarding a guess, I would say one of the key areas would be the for skills for those areas that are identified in the National Skills Needs List, because this is the list that the government is using to approve people migrating into Australia if they've got those skills. Incidentally, I noticed there's been some commentary in the media of late. Accountants are included in those skills shortage lists that the government's working with, and there was a bit of controversy about that. But as far as I know, accountants have still been retained in that list. So maybe there's going to be some skills training for accountants, but really I don't know. So I probably shouldn't be guessing. I would anticipate that that announcement will be made after the November date that's been set for the start of the Commercialising program under the Entrepreneurs Infrastructure Fund. So far as I can understand, that's what the Department of Industry, or Oz Industries, is concentrating on at present. And after they've got that one underway, they may well be turning their total attention to the skills funds. Someone's asked a very good question. Is all the information prior provided kept confidential? We are using cloud technology. For that reason, you can use a code for your client if you wish, if that's your internal procedures. No one else is going to see what you insert into the system. If you have a problem and you want us to look at it, you're going to have to give us your password and username, because the system determines those. So as far as I know, no one will be able to see the information you're placing in there for a client. We do recommend that you leave the information in the system, but you can delete it as soon as you've found the grants if you wish. But it will save you a bit of time next year if you've left the basic information. There's only a bit of detail to be updated, but again, that's your call. But I stress you can, once you've printed the grant report, you've identified what you want to talk to your client about, you can then go back and delete the information if you wish. Thank you for all those questions. I don't seem to have any more. If you think of any others, please send us an email. But what I would really like you to do is to go on and start the free trial. It's on the site there now. You just click on Start Free Trial. It takes you to where you need to complete the subscription. And the system has shown that you're applying for a free 2-week trial. Please undertake it, and then we are very confident that you will agree to subscribe so that you can be using this system throughout the year. Incidentally, how do you use it? Now's a great time. As you're starting in the process of doing business tax returns, I was talking to you, and I'm definitely not the fastest typist in Australia, so I was typing in the details as I was talking to you. It will only take a few minutes to type in the client's information. Sure, someone that understands the client's then going to have to start looking at those grants that are listed in the pending list. Really only another few minutes, and you have got the information to be having a conversation with your client. So we really believe that the system will help you undertake that sort of assignment. Okay, we don't seem to have any more questions, so thank you very much for participating in this webinar today. So I've said a couple of times, if you have any additional questions, please send us an email, peter@ESSBIZTOOLS.com.au. On our site, we are listing the next series of webinars. So if any of your team have missed this and they'd prefer to go to a live webinar, there are virtually the same webinar will be presented on Tuesday the 12th of August at 1 p.m. and on Thursday the 28th of August at 2 p.m. if those times suit you better. If you become a subscriber, then there's a detailed webinar on this new version on the 14th of August. Thank you very much for participating today. Have a wonderful day. Goodbye.